Welcome to the Living Loud and Proud podcast, brought to you by Disability Pride, Pennsylvania. If you need a link to the transcript for this episode, please visit our accessible website at www.disabilitypridepa.org/podcast. And now, here is your host.
Hey folks, welcome to the Living Loud and Proud podcast, brought to you by Disability Pride, Pennsylvania. I'm your host, Phill Rosen, and I'm here with my co-host, DECA Horton. How's it going, Ray?
All right, folks, how are you doing? I'm coming to y'all from the crazy, noisy home office that sounds like it's inside of a factory. But you know what? Enough about that. Let me tell you guys something. We've been doing a lot of research, come across a lot of documents looking for ideas for podcasts, and the funny thing that we came across was this outline that Phill had actually nicknamed The Eyes Habit, A History of Corrective Eyewear. Now, his humorous title to this here mysterious outline should give you an idea. We were like, wait a minute. Has anybody really thought about, something that we take for granted, eyewear, something used by people considered part of the disabled community, as well as not part of any community, utilize all day long, even without any kind of vision impairment.
Yeah.
So I think, Phill, do you want to go ahead and discuss this outline that we found, which is basically a history of corrective eyewear?
Yeah. So it starts with the development of lenses and just even the creation of the field of optics.
Okay.
Physics. So, but let's talk about where the word optics comes from.
Okay, that's what I was going to. Okay.
Yeah.
So, where does the word optics come from? What is the origin of it?
So it's from the ancient Greek word optike. Hopefully all the ancient Greek speakers out there, I
what does optike mean? Like nose?
It means appearance or look.
Okay. Oh, really?
So, yeah, it's used to describe, the act of looking as well as all the other aspects of what optics is. Like bouncing off objects, all that kind of stuff. Well, what we know now, at least. At the time, there were two different schools of thought. And the earliest known lenses actually were created about 2,000 years ago on the island of Crete.
Wait, 2,000 years ago?
Yeah. Crazy. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, not 2,000 years ago. 2,000 BCE, 4,000 years ago. Double that.
Okay. All right. Okay.
My bad. I misspoke.
Even more. Wow. All right. Okay.
Yeah. And the ancient Egyptians at Rhodes had hieroglyphs that depicted using rudimentary lenses for magnification around the year 700 BCE. And at the same time, in Mesopotamia, the Nimrod lens was created. It's from Assyria, about 700 years ago. Yeah, 700 BCE.
Okay, Nimrod.
Yeah.
Cousin of Nimrod.
Maybe.
And then later on in the 80s, if you wore glasses and were a bully or something like that, or just a pain in the ass, you were called a Nimrod. Okay, enough of that pop culture moment. Anyway.
And
you're a Nimrod wearing a Nimrod lens.
Yeah. And if we jump ahead about 800 years or so, we get to like the ancient Romans and Greeks using water-filled glass globes, basically, or glass lenses to magnify.
And this is still in the BC era.
Actually, first century CE. So it's just after the turn of the century. Seneca the Younger, who was the tutor of Nero, by the way.
Emperor Nero?
Emperor Nero, yeah. The one who danced while Rome was burning.
Got it.
Yeah. Anyways, he wrote Letters, however small and indistinct, are seen enlarged and more clearly, through a globe or glass filled with water. And there's also reports showing that Nero watched gladiatorial games using an emerald as a corrective lens as well, water-filled emerald. So,
the forefather of the opera glass.
oh, for sure.
Okay, cool. All right, and okay, so what's next? Like, what was the next significant era in the evolution of eyeglasses and eyewear?
So, between the 11th and 13th century CE,
oh wow, big skip.
the reading stones were invented. Yeah, there were a lot of different bits of glass filled with water for a long time, but
in
the reading stones,
so reading stones coming around, what time was this? 11th and 13th centuries was a significant advancement.
Significant, yeah.
Okay.
They were these primitive plano convex lenses, and what that really means is just one side was flat and the other side was a rounded dome, basically. It was like a dome that you would...
Like the way wide-angle lenses are.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
They were at first made by cutting a glass sphere in half, and later experiments found that cellular lenses magnified more effectively. They were generally used by monks to illuminate manuscripts.
I mean, like you see in the movies and cartoons, the monks and the ancient spell librarians. Okay.
Yeah, well, and think about it. You're
D&D guys would know this very well, right?
Right. Well, and think about it. You're a monk in the 11th century, and you have a candle or an oil lamp, and it's the middle of the night. You need help reading stuff because you've been doing that for the last 13 hours.
Right. And most of those manuscripts at that time were handwritten anyway. So you really need to have some pretty good vision and visual aid going on. Really good light, really good visual perception. All right. Got it.
Yeah. And the light was not the best at the time. Electricity wasn't for another couple thousand years or 1,000 years or so. But anyways, then we jump to 1286 in Pisa, Italy. And that's when the next big real advancement is. And you know what that is, Ray?
Okay. What is it?
It's the first pair of eyeglasses.
Okay.
The inventor was unclear, but there are some historical texts where people are like, oh, yeah, I know who created them, but they don't actually name who it was.
Right.
Kind of, creating this mystique, I guess.
Yeah, no, I get it. It is kind of vague during that time.
Mm-hmm.
That I do know about. I mean, even though you had to ask me the question, I do know for a fact it's kind of vague. I mean, well, for starters, a lot of things weren't able to be recorded accurately or known or thought about. But this was around 1286. And, okay, what were these eyeglasses like?
So these were the first example of what we would consider to be maybe a bit of a prescription eyeglass. These are lenses that were put into a wooden frame, and they were used to help with presbyopia.
Okay, now these frames, were they just frames like what we have today with the arms going around your ears, or they were just the handheld kind, like what we see in a lot of old paintings and read about in books?
So they were handheld. Okay. There wasn't a ton of thought into the actual design of how they were going to work.
But it was the birth of designer frames, though, right?
I mean, I guess.
Okay. Technically, you got to go along with that. Right?
Exactly.
Well, almost. Okay.
And for those who don't know, presbyopia is what people get readers for now at the drugstore. It's like when you have trouble focusing on near field objects, basically. And of course, Pisa is not that far from Venice. And Venice became a center for manufacture very quickly because of the quality of glass that was made at Murano, which to anyone who knows anything about Venetian glassware, that should not come as any surprise.
Right. They were, yeah. I mean, they're legendary. It's Venice glass, stained glass, all that stuff. The glasses and all kinds of wares and art that was made from glass. Right, Venice.
Yeah. And in 1301, guild regulations governed the sale of eyeglasses. So less than 20 years, like almost exactly 15 actually, there were already regulations about how to sell eyeglasses in medieval Venice. And then,
wait a second. Okay, you said guild regulations?
Yes.
Was this an eyeglass guild or glass blowers guild, glass blowers and artists guild?
I believe it was the glass blowers. I think it was the glass blowers guild.
They would automatically have under their jurisdiction eyewear, I would assume.
Well, yeah. Well, for about 20 years, and then there was a separate guild of spectacle makers created in 1320. So less than 40 years from the first pair of eyeglasses being created, we started having an actual guild of spectacles, essentially.
Oh my God, they're like the Templar and the Masons.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever thought about that. Oh my God, maybe they're the true Illuminati.
I mean, maybe.
In modern time, that is. The glass guild, because we never hear nobody talk about that. Okay. All right. And so that was all in the early 1300s. Now, what else happened during that time in the 14th century?
So later on in the 14th century, the pince-nez glasses emerged. Now, what that means essentially, that comes straight from French, means it's basically pincher and nose put together.
Portmanteau. Pinchers. Got it. Okay.
So this allowed for the hands-free wearing of glasses, but it did come at the cost of comfort because it was a spring-loaded frame that, pinched down. It's like a clothespin on the bridge of your nose.
Got it. We've seen those in movies also, period pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is the first, really big advancement in not having to actually hold them up to your face actively.
Got it.
And then a little bit later, we find rivet spectacles being created. These were early frames, more developed frames, I should say, than the pince-nez, right?
Right.
These were two magnifying glasses riveted together by the handles, so they grip to the nose. And some of the earliest surviving examples were found under the floorboards at Kloster Wienhausen. Now, Kloster Wienhausen is a convent near Celle in Germany, dated to around 1400.
Right.
So, this is a big, massive development, making eyewear way more comfortable than it had been previously.
Right. And later on to be adopted by the hardcore steampunk guys.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
Got it.
And now we're going to take a little bit of a left turn here, a little bit away from eyewear, but we're going to actually talk about something that's adjacent, the printing press. Now, why is the printing press important here, Ray?
Well, because my assumption is printing, reading, like what you're talking about with the monks and the librarians earlier, So I'm assuming that the printing press's invention, or who knows, maybe you're getting ready to tell me that it caused the printing press's invention. But we'll go along with, maybe a little bit of both. That printing presses guaranteed that more people were going to need to be able to read this here smaller, finer, more legitimate looking print better. So they would need visual enhancement. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's exactly on the nose.
Okay.
So, yeah, the invention of the printing press, do you know what time it was roughly in history? It was around the 1430s to 1450s. Johannes Gutenberg made probably the best printing press with the movable type printing press in 1450, but
Got it.
there were earlier versions as well. But yeah, this increased reading materials. Demand shot up for eyeglasses because people needed to be able to read.
Right. And publishing empires were born.
Yeah.
Guys who also paid money for good pairs of glasses. Got it.
So if we jump forward about 16 years from 1450, we actually start to see the first specialist shop for spectacles get opened.
Okay.
And what's really interesting about this is this was opened in Strasbourg in 1466. Strasbourg, by the way, is in France. I know it sounds like it might be German.
Yeah. Yeah, wow.
And this is the first place that you would consider to be somewhat equivalent to a modern day optician. You know, you would go get fitted for your glasses. You would, be given a prescription and guided to what maybe worked best for you. This was obviously for, the landed gentry, the nobles, kings, queens, dukes, knights.
So what about the marketplace that we always see in all those period piece movies and shows? I mean, did they have their own version for it? The poor folk and the regular folk. Well, most of them all the.
Well, for the serfs and the peasants, there were street vendors.
In the marketplace.
Yeah, in the marketplace right there.
Okay.
And this started roughly around the beginning of the 1500s, that street vendors started selling glasses that were mass-produced, cheaply made, low quality, yada, yada, yada.
We see in downtown areas of the cities, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's just like all those people with the knockoff Gucci bags.
Yeah, okay.
And really interesting thing about this actually is the lenses were recommended almost entirely based on the wearer's age.
Okay.
Medieval peasant logic, right? So
I mean, yeah, but I guess it would make sense though. It is, as you called it, peasant logic. But yeah, that would make sense.
Not to denigrate them. It makes sense though when you think about it. Older people having difficulty seeing things up close, it would logically kind of follow for a lot of people,
right,
who might not know any better. Oh, young people must all be nearsighted then. Why not?
Right.
So there were a lot of these different kinds of conclusions. You usually would try on several different pairs and find the best fit, hopefully one that actually worked for you to help improve your vision, but no guarantees.
Right. Got it. Understand that. Now, okay, so I'm assuming that we're... wait a second. Joking earlier, I am assuming that we are about ready to approach an era that I am pretty sure they took advantage of. Actually, are approaching, if not already in it, the Renaissance era. Did eyewear have, I'm just saying, I mean, the Renaissance era, designer frames.
Right. Well, the Renaissance era started in Southern Europe, right? So Italy was one of the earlier places for the Renaissance to come to. And guess who came up with the first kind of idea of a contact lens?
Don't tell me the godfather of the Renaissance era himself. Well, even though basically it was about the Renaissance era, it probably went for 3 centuries, but Da Vinci.
It was Da Vinci. Yes, the man who inspired a Ninja Turtle later on.
Gotcha. Along with a bunch of other artists.
Yep. All Italian artists. But he sketched designs for contact lenses. Now, these contact lenses are a little wacky for what we would consider a contact lens today. They were glass bowls filled with water, or a water-filled glass dome would be placed on the eye to change the refractive power of the eye. Kind of the same idea as the reading stones and what they had in ancient Rome.
Got it. but these are only just his sketching and design. I wonder if they're any of the ones that we always see with illustrations about Leonardo da Vinci. I'm trying to think, have I seen anything that looked like fish bowls or anything? Probably have.
I actually did happen to look it up online, and there are images online that you can look up of what the prototype drawing is. But yes, no prototype was built. For whatever reason, he did not have the time or energy to be able to actually build something practicable.
Yeah, he was too busy painting other things.
Right, exactly.
Chasing Mona around too, probably. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. But
okay.
If we jump ahead a little bit to 1604, Johannes Kepler comes into the picture. Now, what is he important for other than being an astronomer? Well, he actually is credited with the first accurate explanation of how concave lenses could correct myopia compared to the use of convex lenses for hypermetropia. So myopia, nearsightedness, hypermetropia, farsightedness. And this was a big leap in the sense that nobody had thought, oh, if you just ground the lenses differently, it might work for other issues that people might have with vision.
Okay, got it. So out of curiosity, you said he was an astronomer. So did he get into like all this here glass science and lens science because of telescopes and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, he actually created a better magnifying telescope than I believe it was Huygens who created the first magnifying telescope.
Yeah,
handheld
magnifying. People out there, if you didn't realize it, yeah, eyewear and also the whole spyglass telescope, technology and evolution do go hand in hand.
Yeah, well, and for people who are into cameras and lighting, Fresnel lenses as well,
right? Yeah,
but that's way later, and not really relevant to the full discussion we're doing here today.
Right? No.
And then if we jump forward to 1636, René Descartes comes into play. He built on Da Vinci's concept. So how did he build on it?
The fishbowl contact lenses.
Yeah. Okay. So what he decided was maybe we could put a liquid-filled glass tube directly onto the cornea to correct vision. Okay. And this is significant, mostly because this is where the origin of the term contact lenses came from, was René Descartes.
Okay, thank God, because I always wonder how the hell they come up with that name. Now I know. Okay, psych, I didn't really, but I got it now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he thought, and there he was. So,
all right, well, when does my man Ben Frank come into play? I mean, because come on, man. I mean, like modern society and pop culture has been all about Ben Frank and the glasses, especially since National Treasure. Like I'm all appreciative of the Renaissance era, but I mean, what next? Was there anything else?
Yeah, well, Ben Franklin, as you just mentioned, he's credited with inventing bifocals in 1784. And what is the bifocal lens? Well, it's a lens that's got a corrective part to it, and then you cut out a portion of it and put a different type of corrective lens inside the other corrective lens.
Right.
He had both myopia and presbyopia, so this allowed for him to not have to switch his glasses out to read things, and he could still wear his glasses out normally. And there is some debate as to whether he invented it in 1784 or if it was, 50 years earlier. He may have done it a lot earlier. There's also some debate as to whether he actually created them, but
got it.
He's the one who is widely credited and known for it. Okay. And certainly here in Philly, we're going to take credit for everything that we can with this man.
Yes, exactly. So, right along with the cheese and the, okay.
And also in the 1700s, actually a little bit earlier than Ben Franklin, the modern style of glasses that, you have the temples going over the ears or the arms, Those were developed sometime around 1727, possibly by British optician Edward Scarlett.
Ooh, sounds like a spy name.
Oh, totally.
That
I
era.
mean, he was an optician, so maybe he was into spyware too.
All right. All right,
Uh,
Edward Scarlett. I like it. I like it. I'm
It
going
did
to go see my optician, Edward Scarlett. Pass this message on to him. All right, got it.
So
All right.
now the modern style of glasses did take a while to catch on. They were initially very heavy, and not very comfortable, not easy to fit to people's faces. So there were two other, sometimes equally successful glasses designs at the time. First, you had the scissors glasses, which were lenses mounted on scissoring stems. So, they would go right over the bridge of your nose.
Okay. Once
And then,
again, stuff we've seen in period pieces on TV or movies.
right, exactly. And then also lorgnettes. Now, lorgnettes, what is that? Well, who knows? But what it is like in those period pieces, it's those glasses that are on the handle.
Right.
Hold up
Okay.
to their eyes.
So you can appear extra snobbish.
Exactly.
Got it.
Those were very popular all the way through
So
Victorian.
that's what they're called. Oh, what are you talking about? There's still people that use those if they want to make sure that they really, 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 really want to be hoity-toity. Okay.
Well, yes, and there are a lot of.
So that's what those are called, lorgnettes.
Lorgnettes, yeah.
Spell that out for the people.
It's got a silent G, so it's Lorgnettes.
Okay.
Lorgnettes.
Or are they Lorgnettes?
I mean, it may be Lorgnettes.
All right.
I'm not exactly a great French speaker, so.
Yeah, well, every time we think something should be pronounced like that, Lorgnettes, turn around and find out, oh, no, it's pronounced Lorgnettes.
Yeah. Well, and of course, British people in Victorian England, I'm sure, would not want to be associated with the French very much.
Okay.
But anyways, the next kind of big development in eyewear was in 1801, and Thomas Young was the first person to spot the uneven curvature of a cornea, known as astigmatism.
Okay, so this is 1801.
1801. And this creates like sort of blurry vision at all visual depths, because either your lens or the cornea itself is a little bit egg-shaped rather than spherical.
Okay. And that's what is called astigmatism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Astigmatism.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Got it.
And then 26 years later, Sir George Bid-Ary invented lenses for correcting astigmatism. Now, these were lenses that were a little bit kind of donut shaped in a way. And they're called toric lenses. They refract light in multiple rotational angles because of what the condition causes in the eye.
Got it.
And then we jump ahead 10 years, and the next big development in eyewear is steel wire started to be used to create a thinner metal frame.
Okay.
So
that's when it starts. Okay.
This is when, the more modern day style of glasses became more popular, because
and if you look at old
they were a lot
photos,
lighter.
The majority of eyeglass wearers, they were wearing, the little small schoolboy shaped wire metal frames all the time. Okay. So that started in, what was that?
1837.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it just made the over-the-ear temples much easier to wear. So, because it was just lighter, you could more easily conform it to your face. Say they got damaged, you could bend it back into shape.
Right. Okay. And then immediately following that, I'm assuming that's when they started having thinner glass.
Thinner glass was being developed all throughout this period. They got more and more precise,
Okay.
partially because of Johannes Kepler.
And also
And his
with the fact that
mathematics.
everybody was wanting to have those thinner metal frames.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Coke bottles still persisted until, the 80s or 90s. I remember seeing a few people my age with Coke
Yeah.
bottles.
I mean,
But-
where the frame is nowhere near as thick as the glass that it's holding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it became much, much less common, at least in my lifetime, for that to be a thing. But anyways, back to the timeline. If we jump ahead about 50 years, the first wearable glass contact lens was created.
Huh.
Yeah. Friedrich Adolf Mueller was a glass blower, and he actually created prosthetic eyes, like glass eyes. So he
Okay.
created these glass contact lenses that covered the entire eye, and it wasn't a corrective lens at all. It protected the eye, though. So it was
Okay.
like for people who maybe had some kind of an eye injury, to try and save the
particular
eye.
tasks, no matter what,
Yeah.
where they required extra, got it,
Mhm.
protective lens. Got it.
Exactly. They weren't very comfortable, as you might imagine. They were
Yeah, I can
heavy,
imagine.
cold, all that stuff. But
Well,
the next
it was
year,
the late 1800s after all.
right? But the very next year, the first corrective glass contact lens was created by Adolf Eugene Finck.
Okay.
It was similar to Mueller's design, covering the entire eye. And Mr. Fick also later developed corneal contacts, so contacts that go directly onto the eye.
Okay. All right. Wow. So the concept actually being practiced actually occurred in the very late 1800s, but 1800s nevertheless, huh?
Yeah.
I never imagined or knew that. But okay.
And if we jump ahead to the 20th century, there's a lot of developments in eyewear,
Right.
the frames and whatnot. So eyewear had already been starting to shift from a medical device to a fashion statement prior to this point. But the 20th century, with all the different materials that were available, just caused this to change so rapidly.
Okay.
So people started wearing glasses not just for the corrective aspect, but also for the fashion statement or whatnot.
Got it.
Some examples of developments include tortoiseshell frames of the 1920s, the cat eyes of the 1940s, and plastic frames increased in popularity in the 70s and 80s, partially because it just became way cheaper and easier to mass produce frames in plastic.
Got it. And the Glass Guild realized they had a new revenue.
Exactly.
The birth of actual designer frameware. I mean, eyewear. Designer frame eyewear. The Glass Guild. Both the eye and the glass. Okay, yeah. Anyway.
So I kind of want to talk a little bit about the lenses and the properties of them up until this point. So the lenses in the middle of them were very crisp and sharp images. What do you think happened as your eye kind of moved towards the edge of the lens?
All right. It would be distorted.
It was a little distorted, blurry. Well, in 1912, the Zeiss Puncto lens was created by Moritz von Rohr and Alvar Gustrand. So this was the first lens to provide clear point focal vision, across the entire lens, and made life way better for everyone who wore glasses. I mean, you didn't have to move your head as much to be able to see things out in the distance, for instance.
Okay.
And then we jump ahead to 1936, same year that the Olympics happened in Berlin. William Feinblum created the first full eye contact lenses with a plastic skirt around a glass lens covering the cornea.
Right. And you know what's something that I had totally forgot about? In the film and theater industry, they were using these type of contacts. Most notably, people like Lon Chaney Sr., during that time, Phantom of the Opera and other, horror movie icons that he created.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can't believe I never stopped to think about that. Hey, not just film, but also the regular stage. They were using these glass, contacts in their eyes. And I'm like, wow, contact lenses have been around for a long time.
Yeah, they really have. This was a lot more comfortable and easier to fit than all the glass versions up to this point.
Right.
And, honestly, it just allowed for people to wear them longer and more comfortably.
Okay.
So that was the big, huge development up until that point. And then 2 years later...
Comfortable for that period of time.
Hey, listen. All I'm saying is if you have a big glass piece right over your eyes and it's like rigid,
got it.
Better than that. But anyways, 2 years later, Oberg and Mullen developed the first all-plastic full-eye contacts. So these were made out of polymethyl methacrylate, or PMMA, and this just allowed for, more comfortable design, much lighter because it's not made out of glass. It's just plastic.
Right.
And so on and so forth. And if we jump 10 years to 1948, Kevin Toohey created the corneal plastic lens made out of PMMA as well.
Okay.
And then Otto Victorly developed the first soft contact lens made of hydrogel in the 1950s. Now, why is this significant? Well, it's because they were flexible and water absorbent. So they were better for dry eyes and eye fatigue, making contacts more wearable for longer and easier for the individual wearing them to tolerate.
Okay. And you know what? It's funny because as this development is going on, this is the same kind of like prosthetic effects that would either be fake mentioned or actually in use during movies, adventure, spy movies from those eras leading up to from the late 50s on ahead up to like the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Looking back, with my little cinephile mind, I'm like, well, go on, keep talking because I'm going to notice the tie-ins.
Yeah. So in 1959, we start to see the first progressive lenses. Now, those of you who don't really know what a progressive lens is, it eliminated the visible lines on multifocal lenses, essentially. So they were bifocals, essentially, that didn't have a visible delineation between the two parts of the lens, making it easier for people to wear them and kind of go incognito, if you will.
Yeah, got it.
Then Bosch and Lohm in 1971 manufactured the first commercial soft contacts in the U.S. And this was a huge development, allowing for more people to adopt them as like an everyday use.
Yeah, but it was still more or less on a prosumer level.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then if we jump ahead 7 years, the first contacts to correct for astigmatism were created in 1978 for the consumer market. So this is a big deal. This means that you could start to have corrective lenses, not just for the two, hypermetropia and myopia, but all the other different things start being created. The bifocal
and this is
contacts.
also when it was definitely, 1978, where it became more common for people to go to the eye doctor and get contact lenses instead of glasses.
Right. Well, yeah, people were getting a little bit more wealthy at this time in America, right?
And I'm assuming that they were getting more affordable also.
That as well.
Yeah.
And then 1 year later, in 1979, CooperVision introduced the first extended wear contact lens.
And
Now,
that was bigger news than the actual, the actual common man being able to have contact lenses when extended eyewear. Oh, trust me, I remember the advertisements for that all throughout the commercials on the major networks and the magazines with their ads and the billboards. Oh man, yeah, that's when you would have thought that it actually was really invented. But yeah.
And then 2 years later, Bosch and Lohm, with Wesley Jensen, introduced the first bifocal contact lens.
Yep, and they went crazy with that also.
Yeah, of course. Now, Ray, do you remember daily disposable contacts being introduced to the market?
Oh, yeah. And they went crazy about that, too. Now, it was, yeah. I mean, a lot of people were like, what sense does that make? Then there were others that were like, it was 50-50. Either you loved it or you hated the idea of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of germaphobes loved it, right? Reducing the occurrence of eye infections. I mean, come on.
Well, also you got to remember, we this was the era also for the keeping up with the Joneses. So some of those people, wanted to be able to say, yes, I have disposable contact lenses.
Yeah. Well,
I can throw them away and put in a new fresh pair. It really was winding up to being like that also for some individuals. Then there were some that would, try and fake it, by saying, well, it's actually cheaper. And I don't need to be wearing them this long. No, it's not.
Well, anyways, they were introduced in 1994, which is, kind of interesting that it took that long for them to develop these daily disposables. At least I think. You think the 1980s, all these different products were being developed at the time very quickly.
Well, it's just like when the French realized that they could get Americans to buy bottled water all the time and it wind up becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right.
That's all it was.
So the next big development was contact lenses being made out of silicone hydrogel. This was 2001. That was approved for sale to U.S. consumers.
Right.
Now, what do these contact lenses do? Well, they make it way more comfortable to wear for longer because more oxygen reaches the eye through the contact lens. And most soft contacts today are actually made with silicone hydrogel. So if you wear contact lenses nowadays, this is probably what you're putting in your eyes.
Yeah. And it's so crazy because, that is big news. That really is big news. But by this time, we started having all kinds of, technological advances, in, textile and hardware and, not just the whole computer age and information age. No, we had quite a few, with material stuff, like I said, textile and everything. So a lot of people didn't realize how big of a deal this was. These lenses being made, out of what they're being made out of. Some did, and some appreciated it, those who were aware. But yeah.
And we get to 2008. Joshua Silver designed some eyewear with an adjustable corrective lens. Now, how does this work? Well, there's a built-in syringe that pumps a silicone solution into a flexible lens. And this silicone solution basically acts just like the reading stones way back when in ancient Rome.
Gotcha.
Changes the refractive correction. So, and I think we have, we're just on the verge of way more stuff happening along these lines.
Yeah, there will be. Right now, everybody's just taking a break, from, I mean, being inquisitive about, further advancements in it. Because right now, we're just seeing what kind of enhancements we can get from AI. But, yeah, we're about due for some more major optic, what's the word I'm looking for? Advancements, who
Do
knows?
you think we're going
Probably
to have AI
podcast.
powered lenses
Uh,
one day?
I don't know. That's the Department of Defense. They probably already have them. Anyway.
Yeah, we just need to get in a signal chat with Defense Department, right?
Right.
Anyways, let's get on to the different conditions that require corrective lenses. There's like five that I really kind of want to talk about, just to say like, hey, these are what exist.
Well, basically, this is why you would have corrective lenses.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, well, I tell you what, I see it on the outline. I'll name the condition, and you just give a very brief description of the what and why.
Right.
Very brief. All right, okay. We have myopia.
Yeah, so myopia, colloquially, nearsightedness. The light from distant objects focuses right in front of the retina, which results in
nearsighted.
Right, and it results in distant objects appearing blurry while close objects appear normal. This actually is the most common eye refraction problem in the world. It's estimated to affect about 1.5 billion people worldwide. So, we got 8 billion people. That's 15% of humanity right there. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like I said, I mean, come on. Most common saying, well, you probably don't hear it anymore. I remember always, you nearsighted bat. Well, Yeah. I'm like, good Lord, everybody's a nearsighted bat. But yeah, okay. And the next one is, well, I'm not sure I knew this term, but hypermetropia?
Yeah, colloquially, that's farsightedness. So it's the opposite of myopia.
And every so often you hear somebody being called a farsighted bat.
Yeah, exactly. And, just like with light from distant objects, it being focused in front of the retina for myopia, it's the inverse for hypermetropia. So light is focused behind the retina.
Okay.
That's all that the difference is.
And presbyopia?
Yeah, so that's associated with aging of the eye. You go into CVS, right? You get your readers.
Get your readers here.
Yeah.
Okay. I need progressively, number 12.
So progressively, it's a worsening ability to focus clearly on close objects. It's also referred to as age-related farsightedness, although that feels weirdly medical to me to call it that. Usually corrected with reading glasses or bifocals.
Got it. Now, the next one is what was mentioned earlier, astigmatism.
Mm-hmm. And I actually already described a little bit about how the eye is shaped.
Right.
But it's a slightly egg-shaped lens or cornea with higher curvature in one direction than the other. So this distorts unevenly, essentially.
Got it. Okay. And then the last one in the list is anisometropia.
Yes. So
the right pronunciation of it?
It sounds right to me. I'm no expert, but anyways, anisometropia is marked by each eye having a significantly different refractive power from each other. So maybe both your eyes have myopia in them, but like one is like, way, way worse than the other. Like one's closer to 20/20, the other is like further away.
Does
that make sense?
Yeah.
And antimetropia actually is a subtype of this, and it affects a very small population in the world, about 0.1% of the population. But basically, one eye is myopic and the other is hyperopic or hypermetropic. So one is farsighted, one is nearsighted.
Okay. Got it. Wow. All right. Well, you know what? I'm glad that we actually talked about this outline and this history of corrective eyewear. The eyes have it.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I've got no other questions. We could call it if you want.
Yeah, I think we should. So thanks everyone for listening in. We hope you enjoyed this little rundown of the history of eyewear, something that we all really take for granted, honestly. I mean, I have my glasses. I wear them constantly. I don't think about them ever.
Yeah, I mean, look at how many people, eyeglass wearing is their identity,
Exactly.
And never thought about, well, where did this part of your identity? I mean, like, it's not just the appearance. I mean, it is part of who you are, but you never thought about, well, when did it all begin? It didn't begin with me. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Were you putting a lot of emphasis on the first syllable of that word for any reason? Identity.
Dagnabbit. I wasn't trying to. No pun intended. But yeah, right. How about that? Well, folks, thanks for listening in on our little conversation, and hope you have a good day, good night, good weekend, good week, whichever position and time that you're at. This is Ray.
And I'm Phill. We'll see you later.
All right.
Please visit our accessible website at www.disabilitypridepa.org. You can find us on social media at Disability Pride PA on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.